Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're here to discuss Godzilla Singular Point, to do a live review, as it were. I wanted to get you guys in on the action here to talk about it. I thought we would talk about it together, basically, rather than just have me sat around doing a review specifically. So this will be up on the channel afterwards. So if you're watching this after the fact and not live, hey, this was a live stream. I typically live stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Although, just as a quick aside and a quick heads up, ladies and gents, this weekend I will not be live streaming on Friday. So I just have to get that out of the way, let you all know. But I will be doing a few impromptu streams during the week to make up for it. So I will still do my 3 streams. But I wanted to break this down, as if you could break this down. I wanted to give my thoughts on Godzilla Singular Point, and get your thoughts as well. What you guys, think about it. Get your guys' review of it. I'm reviewing this from someone who likes Godzilla, who also really likes anime. And I don't know whether people who like Godzilla simply because of the MonsterVerse will like this. I think if you like Godzilla because of the MonsterVerse, but you're a big anime fan, I think you'll like this show. And I want to just say this just straight from the off to sort of, pre-warn people and get people involved. And just let people know what to expect, I guess. It's very anime. Lots of anime tropes. But I like that. So I didn't hate it. I think if your introduction to Godzilla is the MonsterVerse, I think you'll struggle to get on board with this, actually. Personally, that's what I think. That's what I think. But I really liked it. I genuinely really liked it. I had a good time with this. I had a very good time with this, in fact. Now, a lot of people don't like the fact that... let's save some of the spoilers to a little bit later. Although people are kind of dropping it in the chat now anyway. But whatever. I really enjoyed this anime. It's like 13 episodes long. I will say, I think Netflix did something very strange with the order of the show. For me, I think there was a glitch. Because one moment someone was alive and then the next they were dead. And I was like, when did they die? When did they die? Like, what's going on? And then they literally jumbled up an order. They were outside, then they were inside, then they're outside again. I was like, I think Netflix has messed up the order of release for this series. So basically, let's talk about it. Toho Animation dropped on board to do this, along with, was it Studio Bones as well, if I remember rightly? Studio Bones got involved. Bones and Orange co-produced, basically, Bones and Orange, and then Netflix. It was licensed by Netflix. Interesting. Really, really interesting show. I think if you're Toho and you're looking at this show and you're looking at your property and you're like, right, how do we distance ourselves from the Western version enough to keep people interested, invested, keep people excited about it, I guess. What an interesting approach to take. Heavy on like particle physics and alternate universes and time travel and all of this just stuff which goes way beyond me. Like, you ask me to break it down, I'm going to really struggle, and I will try, but I don't have an understanding of it at all. But I think what a great choice to go with. I don't think it all landed by any stretch of the imagination, but kudos, top marks for breaking the mold a little bit, because they really did. You can't sit there and tell me this show is like any other Godzilla show that was out there, really, or Godzilla iteration. I think they've done really well to create its own new thing in the anime world, and I've got to give them props for that. We've got someone joining in the conversation with a super chat. So, guys, if you want to join in, get your comment read out immediately, especially whilst I'm doing these like a live review. I will look at the chat, but I'm going to predominantly be doing my review. Do a super chat. It's a great way to support the channel, great way to join in the conversation. So Krusty Bread for $4.99 says, agreed, loved the series, but not for non-anime fans. Brilliant take, had influence from Shin, Gojira, and other series. So yeah, I genuinely think if you don't like anime, I think you're going to really struggle to like this series. Oof, are you going to struggle? Because there are so many anime tropes. And I like anime tropes. Don't get me wrong. I like the anime tropes. But I think you're going to really, really struggle to get on board with it. So anyway, let's sort of just roughly talk about the story. And let's talk about, I guess, the sort of... main gripe that people have. Godzilla's not in it that much, right? He is and he's not. And that's the main gripe that people have with it. But because Godzilla's use in this isn't a traditional Godzilla use, especially in, say, like the MonsterVerse sense, for instance, lately, and also the Toho stuff lately, being a savior, being a good guy, I think having Godzilla turn up and be used to the limited degree that he is actually makes the impact much stronger, much stronger, much more imposing, much more of a force to be reckoned with, because there's a lot of build up. And I will say this, look, my God, it's 13 episodes and I was getting through it and I was like, I'm liking it. But I'm also very aware, I'm acutely aware that I'm holding out a lot of hope with some of this positivity that I am personally injecting into my viewpoints on this show. If they don't get to a point here and it doesn't round itself off nicely, I'm going to be really pissed. Like I was holding out a lot of positivity because I was starting to feel like, because it's a slow burn because of all of the particle physics stuff that is in this show. And guys, it might sound like I'm just rambling away. Watch the fucking show. You want to hear rambling? Watch the show. And that's the other main gripe that people have. It is exposition city. It is really exposition city. But I think something to liken it to, and again, another anime actually that has a lot of exposition, would be Death Note. Death Note has a lot of exposition, like a lot of talking. And, if you're used to that in certain animes, even Full Metal Alchemist, some of their episodes were really exposition heavy as well. I think if you're used to that in certain animes and that's your thing, that's what you like the sort of bombastic science that they sort of inject in there. And some of this is definitely not science. Well, I could be wrong. I don't think it is. Talking about like time traveling monsters and fucking musical songs that are not musical songs because they're actually AIs. Like what? I think if you're not used to that, you're going to really hate it. But the exposition's not out of the norm for certain animes. Yeah, Iron Wolf says I gave up on the exposition and just enjoyed the monster battles. That's the other thing here, right? So that's kind of going over what most people would have a gripe with respect to this show. It's the exposition, Godzilla not really being in it. Like those things I can kind of breeze past. Godzilla being that he is what he is in this show, I think is used actually really, really well. Very imposing, it's supposed to build to what he is, right? That sort of catastrophic being. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink to people that have watched it. But outside of that, let's talk about the animation, because obviously it's an anime, right? It is an anime. The animation itself, absolutely fantastic. And I don't say that lightly. I really liked how they did the monsters. The monsters versus the people are what looks to be a completely different animation style. Like completely different animation style. You have the likes of, again, the kaiju, like Rodan, for instance. Beautiful colors, looks like a watercolor painting. It's so beautifully done. But they keep it when they animate it. So, like, you know, it's sort of just floating across the screen and stuff like that. And you're looking at it, you're like, oh, that looks great. It starts to move. And you're like, oh, okay, they've animated this in a really interesting way that is completely different to how they've animated the characters, the people that run through this series. I cannot remember their names. I'm going to have to look at the Wikipedia or just whatever, because I genuinely can't remember their names. There is so much dialogue in this show. I've forgotten a lot of stuff. God damn. But the animation was great, and keeping it separate between the kaiju and the people, I thought that was smart. I thought that was really, really, really smart. I liked that a lot. But is the story satisfying? Did you like Shin Godzilla? Shin Godzilla, whatever you want to call it. Did you like that? If you did, I think you'll like this a lot. If you like anime, I think you'll like this a lot. I had a good time with it. But it's not without its flaws. There's some very strange decisions, how it winds itself up story-wise at the end. Jet Jaguar. Weird choice of Jet Jaguar. Don't know whether I like Jet Jaguar in this, but because they're repurposing Jet Jaguar for a completely different storyline, I could probably breeze past it. The Oxygen Destroyer, but not the Oxygen Destroyer. What the fuck was it called? The orthogonal diagonalizer. The orthogonal diagonalizer. Oh my god, who come up with these names? But again, the homage, the callback to the Oxygen Destroyer, I thought that was really smart. The callbacks to Shin Godzilla, great, really, really good. Some of it is actually shot for shot the same, but when that theme song comes on and you look in that awesome animation, you don't care. You genuinely don't care. Nobody except me has joined in. Has joined in the chat for $5 and says, I love the blue rings before he fires. Lots of talking, but I give it credit for trying to ground the science. And Jet Jaguar, the AI, was fun to watch. Agreed. I agree. They did try to ground the science. This is very science fiction heavy. Very, very, very science fiction heavy. Or science fantasy heavy, however you want to call it, because I don't know whether that science is even correct. But it's science fantasy heavy. And they really do try to ground it. They're building a world around this sort of concept that they have. But I'm also left there just wondering, like, well, where'd the first bones come from? Like, what's that? What's going on? I'm left with so many answers that I know will never be I'm left with so many questions that I know will never be answered. Even in the next season. Al Humphrey says, yeah, they lost me on the science stuff, but I'm really loving it anyway. There you go. Yeah. Oh, dear. Same person who came up with the idea that there were 5 versions of Kumonga. I know. Oh, God, I know. I believe the term is hard science fiction, where they get into the nitty-gritty on how the science works and how it applies to real-world science. It was an interesting bloody show. Don't hate it. Don't hate it at all. The thing is, it's difficult for me to review the overall story element because midway through, from 9 to about 11, Netflix chopped up the order of the animation. One person just drops off the face of the planet. I'm like, where have you gone? People are saying you're gone. I didn't watch you go. Like, what's going on? And that was a real strange. I don't know what they did, and I've gone back to try to watch it, but it keeps changing the order. It's very strange. But I enjoyed it a lot. I actually enjoyed it a lot. So what did you guys think? Genuinely, what did you guys think? Now that's my sort of review over with. To sort of round it out, I don't think you should watch this. If you're just a MonsterVerse fan, I don't think you're going to like this show. If you are not a fan of anime, I don't think you're going to like this show. If you are a fan of anime, I think you'll like this show. I think you'll like this show a fair amount, actually. I think there's a lot of positivity with this show. The people can get behind. I think Godzilla fans in general will quite like this show. But yeah, all in all, I don't know. Simon Polsky says, glad you enjoyed the show. I wanted to ask, how do you like the design for the big spoiler and the post-credit scene in the last episode? I actually thought it looked quite good. Very interesting, actually. Very, very interesting. Yeah. The show was full of heavy exposition, but was actually all right. Better than first US Godzilla movie with Bryan Cranston. Oh, that's an interesting take. I don't know whether I'd say that. It's different, isn't it? It's very, very different. It's very, very different. I felt a lot was used to sell a property that didn't begin as Godzilla. Oh, so you think that they reworked a different story into Godzilla? That's interesting. That is interesting. The camera is graying with his white beard. I know. Terrible, right? So what do you guys think? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Let me know down below. Well, in the comments and also in the chat right now. Let me know what you guys think, because it's interesting. I thought the Red Dust was going to be a new version of Destroyer. Yeah, it did seem like they were going. The thing is, in this show, they could do anything. Because of how they set it all up, it was just all over the place. They could have done anything that they wanted with it all. Absolutely anything that they wanted with it all. Nobody except me says, yeah, it did more than enough to make me excited for season 2. And I knew from the jump those weird eye guys had to be aliens. Weird eye guys? Who were the weird eye guys? Oh, that's the other thing, yeah. The references to the wider and the sort of old Toho lore and stuff like that was fantastic. You know, the old man thinking about aliens, subterranean aliens and civilizations and stuff. And I'm like, God damn, yes. They're just going for it. Absolutely going for it. Singular Point is basically a quantum physics mystery. The very nature of long format story about a major event dictates you can't have that event occur in the first few episodes or the audience loses interest. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't have any issue with the slow build-up specifically. Very obscure and weird, but I liked it. Been a Godzilla fan ever since I can remember. I've seen both Zilla and Godzilla 2000 in theaters. I like new takes on the god. It was certainly a new take, that is for sure. Hedorah slime. I did think that was a reference to Hedorah. The sort of blue-gray goop, they called it, or something like that. Yeah. They took elements from all the Godzilla eras and blended them together, and it was good. I enjoyed it, but they need to tone down the science. The thing is, do you think this would have been good, right? Do you think this would have been better if it was left to the imagination a little bit more without some of the explanations? Because I think the exposition, stuff is what gets people out of it. When you're not an anime fan, you're not used to exposition. Yeah, I don't know. I think if they had a lot of it to sit there and go, oh wow, a monster's turned up. We don't know why, but there's this red mist, but then how would you do that with the Shiva entity sort of working alongside it as well? I think you'd have to rewrite it entirely. But I think if you left some of it to the imagination, I think maybe it could have been better, maybe. But I still liked it as is. I genuinely liked it as is. So this is an interesting point, and I think this is justified. Louis Stamato says some of the exposition was used as padding. It was. It absolutely was. This could have been done in 10 episodes. Didn't need to stretch to 13. I think 10 episodes, this actually would have been pretty... would have been much tighter. Would have been a much tighter series, movie, whatever. Just slightly make it more easier to understand rather than making it feel like I need to write a 5-page essay in order to understand what's going on. True. Yes, I pointed to DBZ in the original Star Wars. They never explained this stuff, and look how successful those franchises are. I think that's a valid point. I think that is a very, very valid point. Yeah, I don't know why 13. Again, yeah, I think if they made it 10, if they made it 10 episodes, this would have been a much tighter series. It was great though. It was really, really good. I think anime that is so sci-fi, they shouldn't over attempt to explain things, like explaining Ghostbusters and how their tech works on ghosts. Yeah, true. The main reason why half of the series just shows nothing but text messages, they're doing this for budget reasons. Maybe. How the hell did Jaguar grow so big? That was a what moment for me. It was the atom. It was the oxygen destroyer, the orthogonal diagonalizer. Fuck me. Oh god, the names of some things. The orthogonal diagonalizer. I also didn't hate how they ended up calling the kaiju, you know. Oh, there's a flock of Rodans. I'm like, oh right. Radio, yeah. It was interesting. Very interesting. Didn't hate it. Did not hate it. The Killmonger episode was useless. That was, yeah, I agree with that. I feel like some of the episodes, Daiju, and I think other people would agree with this. I feel like some of the episodes were there simply to give like screen time to monsters, so Toho could go, look, we got these ones, and look, we got these ones. It's like, yeah, okay, but if it doesn't advance the story together, it's a bit. Come on, it's a bit much. What was this? 2 episodes in, and Singular Point just isn't my cup of tea at all. Very ponderous, and the art direction is an epileptic's nightmare. Wow. The visuals are far too busy. We'll stick with it though. And really, wow, that is scathing. An epileptic's nightmare. Wow. Oof. Oof. Oh, that is terrible. The solution they came up with at the end wasn't really a solution, more like a band-aid for the time being. Agreed. If you are story-based, you don't need to explain the science in a big way. If you are world building, you do need to explain more of the science, but it's harder to do it easily. I agree with that, but I think they are moving forward into another season, season of it. So they did try to do some world building, but I don't know how much of that stuff is going to be referenced next season in terms of the science. Probably not that much. And so if it's not referenced, then bit dumb to do all of that. At the beginning, I thought it was the Mothra twin who was talking over each other. I thought that as well. I did genuinely think that. I thought, yep, okay, so we got Mothras here, the Mothra twins, the fairies here. Yeah, no, none of that at all. But I do think maybe that was a slight reference to them, even though we see Mothras sort of in the show as well. Would you have liked to have seen an anime version of Kiryu in the series or not? I can't really answer that too much, to be fair. The Megalon that were on Godzilla's back are actually Killmonger. Hey? How? Are they? What? Interesting. Yeah, interesting. What are some parts you feel could have been taken out without affecting the overall story? Well, the Killmonger episode, you could definitely take the spiders on the docks, basically, whether they're supposed to be Killmonger or not. You could have taken that whole episode out. There was the episode where they pointlessly try to push the Rodan away from civilization with radio waves. And it ends up with not that much going on. They could have taken that out. They could have taken that episode out. I don't think that would have affected it that much either. I probably didn't see all of them. God, no. Some, but no, not all of them. Yes, yeah. I saw the post-credit scene. I did indeed. Photosensitive epilepsy is rare. It's mostly from being born with it or stress. Is a myth. All epileptics are set off by flashing lights. Yeah. Apparently, some people can just get that, though. It's not necessarily just... you don't even have to just be born with it. Apparently, you can just get it as well. Allegedly. I don't know. I don't know how true that is. I remember reading it somewhere. Could that kid with the glasses might be born in Atlantis since he acted strange and have massive knowledge? No. No, I don't think so. So there you go, really. It's that's kind of my review and a slight discussion with you guys. Not enough people have watched it who's joined in this chat, unfortunately, to make a real sort of go of this live stream, which is a bit of a shame. So yeah, interesting. Really, really interesting. I didn't hate it. I thought it was good. I think if you like anime, I think you'll like this quite a lot. But if you don't like anime and you're not a Godzilla fan, I wouldn't recommend this. Like, I actually would not recommend this. So that's about it. That is actually about it, to be fair. Not much else really to go into. John Harrison says, I assume the guy that took the skeleton head will make... Yep. Can't say that too much. It's on my list. Yeah. That's about it, guys. Quick stream. Quick live review. Quick discussion. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this back, hit that like button. As always, though, guys, cheers. Take care.